Miracle-Gro, I'd actually go trade off between Miracle-Gro and a bloom booster of some kind. Then at Mother's Day, you're going to cut the whole puppy down to about 6-8 inches above the pot. Let it regrow next year. They love it outside. Then starting September 1st, you make sure it gets 12 hours of absolute darkness every night. That's what makes poinsettias come into bloom. And remember, they don't turn red, they grow out red. So they still need plenty of sun during the day after that absolute darkness at night.
That's good to know. For people who brought plants from outside in, little bugs on them, what can they do to get rid of them?
Okay, I would try either insecticidal soap or all-season oil spray. If the insects are coming up out of the soil, just little black gnats that are driving you nuts, I'd look for mosquito bits. You soak them in water, you water your plant with it, and kills off the larvae in the soil that the gnats are coming from. But remember, if your plant has fungus gnats, you've got a wet plant somewhere in the house. You've got to let it dry down to break that breeding cycle.
Is it too late to start putting down grass seed?
No, grass seed can go down anytime. From now until spring, just remember that it would be nice to cover it a little bit with something so it doesn't turn into bird food, usually a little straw over the top of it. This is what Mother Nature does. She scatters the seed in the fall. It lays there all winter. Actually, this cold weather vernalizes it so it germinates much better in the spring. As soon as the weather gets warm enough in the spring, you've got grass.
There you go. Sharon's asking, Christmas cactus turned red, help.
Oh, okay. Okay, if you've got a Christmas cactus that is starting to turn red, you've got one of two problems. Either you have a phosphorus deficiency, which all plants will turn red when they aren't getting enough phosphorus, or you've managed to get this little fella a little bit too wet. Remember, this is a cactus, a tropical cactus. So we do let it dry down better than our normal foliage plants in the house, and water thoroughly, and dear Lord, please drain the excess that comes out the bottom. That's the biggest culprit of overwatering right there, is water soaking up from the bottom on plants.
Drain the excess. All right, we're going to get more questions answered in just a moment. We're going to take a short break. In the meantime, you can get your plant and garden questions put in that comment section of the Facebook Live on the WQAD Facebook page. We'll be right back. Back to Good Morning Quad Cities at 11. We have Craig Hignite, our plant and garden expert, joining us to answer your plant and garden questions through the News 8 Facebook Live. Let's kick it back off with Chad. How big of a pot should you use for a start of a new spider plant?
Actually, you want to start in a very small pot. I would take not bigger than a 4 to 5 inch pot, and even in that, I would put 2 or 3 starts. You want them. They like being crowded. It makes them look so much better. They fill in so much faster. So small pots with plenty of babies in there.
Okay, Lori's asking, can I throw down wildflower seeds now?
Sure. A lot of wildflowers are perennial, and they actually need this winter weather, again, to vernalize them. A lot of perennial seeds do not germinate well unless they've been through the freeze-thaw of our winter. So sow them now. Again, rake them in a little bit, cover them a little bit. You want to make sure you're planting seeds and not putting out bird food.
What are some things that people could be doing maybe to where they will have their garden? You know, some of us are itching to get out since the ground isn't fully frozen. Is there anything they can do to maybe fertilize or anything like that now?
Well, right now, it's awfully wet right now. So, you know, if you've still got leaves, they could be turned in, but be very careful. You just should not be working wet soil. It can really mess things up. And do not just pile the leaves on the garden. Maybe put them off to one side, and you know, what it is, the garden never freezes properly, and it doesn't thaw out in the spring or dry out. So you've got this long, muddy mess well into the spring.
Okay. Amanda says, I was gifted a monkey orchid. Is it the same care instructions as other orchids?
I'm not completely familiar with this, but most orchids, if you go ahead and water them once a week, they should be fine. Another little tip that I learned early on with orchids is get a plastic tag, just a plain old plastic tag from somebody or wherever, stick it in the pot, and if you pull the tag out and there is no moisture sweated on the tag, the growing media is dry enough that the plant needs water. It's a very, very rudimentary moisture meter, and it saved a lot of orchids early in my career.
Mary was gifted an aloe plant with no idea of its past care history. It appears to have been recently potted, but they don't know the first thing about caring for it, including knowing when and how much to water.
Okay. If it's been recently potted, be very careful with your watering. This is a succulent. Of course, it needs all the light you can possibly give it. We are going to turn the pot every 3 or 4 days because that plant is going to pull toward the brightest light source in the room. Let it dry out a little bit better than you would a normal house plant. Then you take it to the sink and you do water it thoroughly, get rid of that excess, and fertilize it about once a month. Just about any fertilizer will work on aloe plants.
What are some generalized do's and don'ts of houseplants over the winter months?
Well, the thing is, right now, we're running a second humidifier at home.
Oh.
I mean, the house is like the Sahara Desert. We've got a good humidifier on the furnace, but we supplement it with another humidity source. We don't schedule water. We go through about twice a week, or probably every day, actually. It helps to be obsessive if you're growing plants. And you water only the ones that are ready when they are ready. Water them, and then, you know, drain the excess. And I always tell people, plants are like kids. They each have their own personality, and you can't treat them all the same.
Okay, Pam is saying, what makes leaves turn yellow? She has a plant on top of her curio cabinet that the leaves are turning yellow.
Well, it could be lack of light. Curio cabinets don't normally sit in front of a window. Could be that you have let it get a little too dry. The first thing that you notice when a plant has gotten excessively dry, it will lose some of its older leaves. It is actually taking the food and water out of those leaves and moving it to the tip where the bud is to keep itself alive. Also, it might be asking you for some fertilizer.
All right, Craig, thank you so much, as always, for all your expertise. And you can join us each and every Wednesday through the News 8 Facebook Live, where you can submit your questions in the comment section and be a part of that conversation. Stick around. Good Morning Quad Cities at 11 will be right back. We leave you with this live look outside.